Lady Gaga on 102.7 WMOM 740 713 before the top of the hour. Welcome to it. Chris here in the studio and Dr. Jacob from NorthStar Chiropractic there on South James, Ludington. And I'm telling you, Jacob, welcome. First of all, welcome back to the studio.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Happy to be back.
Yeah. Second, just after our last segment, I ran into Polly from the chamber, and she's like, "I'm headed down to see Dr. Jacob," and then the days after that, I hear from people that are like, "Hey, Dr. Jacob is the guy to go see." Like, you are a superstar here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we've been really blessed.
Well, and you've been doing this, what, 13 years?
That's right, yep.
Wow.
Just yesterday, my wife came into the office, and she was looking, she goes, "Hey, 13 years ago today, we opened." And I was like, wow, it's, it was amazing. And you feel lucky that, that we've been here this long, and just the embrace of the community is just unbelievable.
That's cool. Well, congratulations on that, and that is success. And people are seeing you, and they're healthier because of you. I mean, you have to at some point, and I'm sure you have over the years, taken that part of it in and just sat down and said, we're helping people stay healthier, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. A major goal that I had with my wife, and I grew up in Manistee, but we came into Ludington and we really didn't know anybody. And early on, I looked at her and I said, the ultimate goal would be to create the healthiest community along the lakeshore. Mm-hmm. And that was the big goal when I was 26 years old, coming into town and talking about our grandiose vision. And at the time it was pie in the sky, but to think that we've moved the needle really is humbling.
Yeah. And I know we're going to get into the topic here in just a second about blood pressure in regards to that, but as part of your celebration of 13 years, what has been the best moment of it all? What is that moment?
It's really hard to narrow down. Like anything, there's peaks and valleys to owning your own business, as you know. But probably the best are those moments when, we have a patient come in who debilitating, back pain or neck pain, and we start getting adjusted, and then they're like, "Hey, I want to get in shape." So all of a sudden you see this, this woman who might be in her mid 40s go from, a sedentary lifestyle with pain, and then I walk in the gym and she's, doing burpees and working on her pull-ups, and it's just, it just warms your heart. It just warms my heart. It makes it all worth it.
And is it true that there is, can you go from night to day in regards to getting adjustment, and then things just starts working better? I mean, like instantaneously almost? Yeah.
Absolutely. There are, obviously there are situations where people are in a tremendous amount of pain and there's a ton of inflammation in their body, and we adjust and it feels a little better, but maybe 10% better. Wow. But then there are situations too where, people have been dealing with these chronic issues for a long time, and it's really just one little misalignment of their spine that we call a subluxation. We remove that, and they're turning their neck better, and then their inflammation goes down, and then their nerves communicate better, and then they find themselves sleeping better. And then as soon as we start sleeping better, we have more energy, and we're that carries forward into our day.
All right. And you brought up a word that we were going to talk about today. So subluxation, right? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Take us through that. What is that?
So subluxations are small misalignments of your spine that ultimately interrupt the biomechanics of the spine, which create inflammation. The misconception within chiropractic is that it's a subluxation is a misalignment of the spine. You got a hard bone on a soft nerve. But what actually happens is the bone's misaligned, inflammation sets in, and that's what is creating the nerve compression. Or people, how people always talk about pinched nerves.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Right? And so what I do is I remove that subluxation, get the inflammation to start coming down within the joints, and then the nerve frees up and starts communicating better with the brain. When the brain and the body can communicate better, the body ultimately functions better.
Interesting. Yeah. That sounds like a good plan. And if somebody has had that quote pinched nerve or the subluxation for years, does it take a while then?
Sometimes it does.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it does, because there's layers to everything, right? And unfortunately, pain is the last thing to show last thing to show up, first thing to go away. So like the preceding factors that led us to pain, right? It's important to remove those. So like when people are like, oh, I started going, I saw a chiropractor once, he wanted me to come back and work through some of these issues. And that's exactly what they're trying to address, are the underlying factors that brought you to this point of pain as we begin to peel those layers back.
All right. Very good information. We're talking with Dr. Jacob Singh from NorthStar Chiropractic, right there in South James Street, right? Great.
South Rath.
South Rath. And sorry about earlier. I put you on James Street rather than Rath. And let's talk about blood pressure, because that's a big part of our topic that we're going to discuss today. Blood pressure and seeing a chiropractor.
Yes.
How does that go hand in hand?
So it's not something that we often hear a lot about.
No.
And it just gives me this obviously gives me an opportunity to kind of discuss those things, because like I'll be honest, like back pain, neck pain, headaches, that's my bread and butter. That's what I deal with pretty much consistently every day. Not very often people come in that have been dealing with blood pressure issues, but what usually ends up happening is they come in for their neck pain, and then they start feeling better, they get adjusted, and then they go back to their yearly physical and their blood pressure has dropped a little bit. And they're like, Jacob, what do you think that is? And well, it's related to removing the subluxation. Okay. So what happens is there's the heart, right? And obviously we're talking about heart because February is National Heart Health Month.
Absolutely.
And so within the heart, there's the aorta, right? The aorta is the major artery that comes off the top of the heart that feeds blood to the rest of the body. Well, there's nerve endings in the aorta that relays blood pressure, right? Okay. Blood pressure information goes to your brainstem via the vagus nerve, okay? Okay, so the vagus nerve gets information from the heart, travels the information up, and it goes into your brainstem. Okay, if the blood pressure is high, your vagus nerve will stimulate a baroreflex, right? Which means it'll lower the blood pressure. Okay. Now, where the vagus nerve goes into the brainstem sits right in front of your first cervical vertebrae. Okay, so if your first cervical vertebrae is out of alignment, all that information that's coming from the aortic arch into the brain can be interrupted, and it's not getting through, because 80% of the vagus nerve is responsible for messages going in, not necessarily messages coming out. So without that feedback from the heart, the body doesn't know how to respond. And so like we just try to uninterrupt that flow by adjusting the upper cervical spine so that the heart can communicate with the brain, and then vice versa, the brain communicate with the rest of the body and the heart, and bring that blood pressure down.
And this might be weird, but is this part of, when you get that kind of sharp pain or steady pain sometimes, like just below your neck? And I mean, is that related a little bit to that?
Not necessarily. Okay. Like a lot of times when your first cervical vertebrae is out of place, what you'll notice is immediately restriction in the rotation of your head and that kind of stuff. Okay. The pain that a lot of times you'll feel at the base of the neck that could be related to your heart, that is pain referral patterns from the organs to the rest of the body. But that is a great question to ask.
All right. So maybe we'll bring that up in the future, because we want to be able to be loose, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the goal there.
Yes. Yeah. And they did a study in 2007, and they took 50 patients. 25 of them got upper cervical adjustments, which is what we're talking about. That first cervical vertebrae got adjusted. Yeah. And half of them didn't. What they found is that the people that got the upper cervical adjustments, their blood pressure dropped to the equivalency of taking 2 blood pressure meds at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing, right? And again, so this isn't something that people come to their chiropractor for. And I just thought by sharing this information, not to say that it's going to cure everything, but it's worth a shot, right?
Well, and part of it is sending wrong signals, or even delayed signals, or even adjusted signals, I guess it would be.
Absolutely.
Because of that. It's almost like a bend in the road when you're thinking about it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. We're talking with Dr. Jacob Singh, NorthStar Chiropractic here in the studio, which is everything that you have told us this morning. It sounds like just pretty intense science in some cases, and you do a lot of studying on this. This isn't a kind of a fly-by-night, hey, we're going to try this or that, right?
Right, yes. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. So we try to stay up on everything as far as the current research and the science behind it. And obviously, being a chiropractor, I offer pretty much one modality, right? The chiropractic adjustment. Now, how we apply that is what varies, right? Depending on what the patient is experiencing, what their goals are, what their symptoms are, and that kind of stuff.
All right. And then this came up on my notes to to ask you today, and I kind of scratched my head a little bit on that. It says, what do animals and humans share when it comes to bone structure or even chiropractic in general? Well, and I had a hint of a giraffe. What?
So they share. I mean, they're all like, we all share a vertebrae that houses a nervous system, right?
Okay.
Within our spinal column is our spinal cord, right? Off the spinal cord is the nervous system, right? Okay. Spinal nerves. Everybody has that. Yeah. Dogs, cats, giraffes, and things like that. So they can all experience subluxations, right? If you God bless TikTok right now with all the chiropractic videos that are out there.
Yeah, they're insane. Some of them you do not want to follow, right? I mean, some of them are actually
yes,
crazy.
I do get asked pretty often. Yes. Hey, you got that strap you can put around my head and rip on my head. Yeah. And I, in fact, do not possess that strap. However, I've seen that before, and it's been around for a long time. But yes, so animals, humans, dogs, giraffes, we all have spines, we all have nerves, right, that come out of that spine. We can all experience subluxation, right? So, you see the horse get adjusted and they have this reaction, and all of a sudden they start using their back hoof. I had a really cool experience. I took my dog to an animal chiropractor. I am, in fact, not an animal chiropractor, but obviously the principles behind chiropractic I apply across the board for the family. Yeah. So we took the dog, and he had an upset belly. The animal chiropractor made an adjustment to the upper part of the cervical spine in the dog. Set the dog down, he puked, and it was immediately better.
Wow.
Right. But what we're seeing with dogs and
wait, before we go too far. People aren't puking at your office, though, right?
No, we don't have that. No, people don't.
Because people are going to ask that question after you just said that. But no, in the dog case. But,
no, it was just in the dog case, and he immediately got whatever it was that was bothering was out of his system. Wow. Now, that being said, though, babies and dogs, like they don't have a ton of is that high emotional stress or mental stress that a lot of humans that gets in the way of how their body functions like humans do, right? Because we're always in our brain, we're always we can stress ourselves out mentally very, very quickly, and that a lot of times can interfere, but like dogs don't possess that, right? So when we make adjustments to dogs, they immediately have a reaction. They're either going to feel better right away or they won't have a change at all. Same with babies. Now, when I do adjust babies, because babies come in to see me for, colic, constipation, that kind of stuff, they'll puke right away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
They'll puke or they'll go to the bathroom. Wow. Within the first 10 minutes to 2 hours of their adjustment.
You're prepared for that, I would assume.
We are 100% prepared for that. We have a changing station right in the office, as well as,
I didn't know that, but this is good because this is, learning about this. And it really shows, as we wrap up today, and I want to this is a conversation for another day too, to keep this going. But, it really shows from an information standpoint that that adjustment can truly relieve our body. I mean, not in just the puking or pooping as the babies are doing, but also just being able to move our neck better, being able to just go back to the gym or start exercising more, or that physical activity. I think that's hugely impressive.
Yes. It's like I said, what I get to do every day is really awesome.
Yeah. Anything that we missed today to talk about?
No, this was perfect, and you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head. Removing interference from the spine so that the brain communicates effectively with the rest of the body. We never know how far-reaching that is, right? Like getting back to activity, having pain, not having any pain, sleeping better, things like that. Like that's what I do. That's why we're here in our community.
No, I'm going to have our staff set up an appointment for me to come down because I bet there's a little bit. I mean, I probably walk weird. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm slumped over and everything else. But in all seriousness, it's something that should be a part of our lives. To number one, get checked out. Setting up an appointment to go see you. Obviously, first step. Being able to get that assessment, and you're getting in patients right and left. I hear that you might have hired somebody else.
Yes, we're very excited. We just hired on a new doctor in our office, Dr. Andrew. He's coming to us from North Muskegon. He's been a practicing chiropractor for 6 years, but we've been so lucky that our office has grown year after year that I'm at a point now where I need an additional set of hands to help help more people.
That's cool.
And he's a great guy. He's a former Division I athlete, great personality, and he has just an amazing skill set.
All right. Well, we look forward to having him in the studio. Maybe bring him in next time.
Yes, we definitely.
Absolutely. NorthStar Chiropractic, right there on Rath, South Rath in Ludington here. How can they get a hold of you? Where are we sending for contact information?
Yep. So our telephone number for the office is 231-843-8200. You can check us out at nstarchiro.com. You can see a picture of the inside of the office, and some of the things that we treat within the office, and all of our new patient paperwork is on that website. So if you would like, all you have to do is fill that paperwork out, and our staff will give you a call and get you set up.
Awesome. And ask about subluxation.
That's right.
And see how that can benefit you. That's pretty cool. All right, Jacob, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It is 8:02. We're in the 8 o'clock hour. Coming up in just a few minutes, another square to be given away. We will bring in the 7 o'clock square into the 8 o'clock hour, and we will have another second bonus square here in the 8 o'clock hour as well. Keep it locked here to 102.7. It is Mom FM.
Thanks for making